We're just a little over a third of the way here into the month of June. And as we look at our June summary, we have a little bit of a deficit building when it comes down to that precipitation. And that's something to keep in mind of, especially comparing it there with a warmer than normal forecast, is when we have dry and warm conditions that can allow for some drought conditions to expand quickly. So we'll be keeping an eye on the summary, but we are going to push and pull these numbers a bit here as we roll into our second half here of June, as we are looking at the 6 to 10 day outlook showing some changes. One, when it comes down to precipitation, there is that bit of a deficit. Now, the likelihood of filling that deficit here in that 10-day outlook is not looking likely, but rain chances do remain, which could help to alleviate some of those drought conditions and those dry conditions that we've been pulling in. But we also note that Wyoming is going to be sitting just on the line of some warmer to cooler than normal conditions, as we have this very large warm plume that is going to be holding closer to the Great Lakes, and this little bit of a colder plume coming off of more of the Canadian Rockies. And as that drops in, that can send some cooler air even down through our local area. But we'll be really averaging out here across the entire state of Wyoming to some near normal temperatures, especially towards the end of our 7 days. For the near future here, we're still about some warm conditions, even looking at high temperatures here for our Wednesday to head towards those 90s. But then as we head towards the rest of the week and into next week, there is a gradual pullback of those temperatures. We're still expected to talk about daily sunshine and seasonable temperatures really at the coolest point as we head into early next week. But what we will usher in is that there's also going to be some daily afternoon thunder threats, where there will be some small chances for some isolated severe storms, especially as early as Thursday. Now here for our Wednesday, largely a quiet day. We're looking at warm sunshine, quickly bringing our temperatures from those 60s into the 80s. Now it is going to be a little breezy. We'll note that area wide we'll at least be getting some 25 to up to some 35-mile-per-hour gusts, especially for some of our wind prone areas. That means moving along areas of I-80 into Wyoming and I-25. High profile vehicles may have some difficulties with this type of wind, but not necessarily needing wind headlines, as winds will stay under that threshold. But a breezy day that ushers in some warm conditions, as area wide will be heading towards those 90s, even along there, Rawlins and Laramie getting into those mid 80s. Douglas looking at heading to 92 degrees, Scottsbluff at 96, and we'll be keeping an eye on Cheyenne and Casper, as the first 90-degree day has still yet to be reached in both of those locations. So we'll be watching our potential first 90-degree day before we will start to dial those temperatures back. As mentioned, Thursday is going to start to bring in some of those afternoon rumbles and ease our temperatures back. Now still mild and above normal, but pulling back out of that big warmth and then ushering in some isolated storms that will be possible closer to the Laramie and Cheyenne area, and potentially spreading some of those storms along I-80. And then we continue that daily storm threat as we pull back to those 70s as we head into next week.